Seacroft's first ever community forum. Oh my goodness. Thank you all so much for being here. This is such a great atmosphere. And thank you to Chapel FM for being such amazing hosts. This is an awesome building. So for those of you that don't know, Climate Action Seacroft, we are a group of residents who all live in and around Seacroft, and we've got together to take grassroots climate action. So you're going to hear throughout the evening a little bit more about what that means. And we are one tentacle that is part of a larger octopus that is Climate Action Leeds. And so if anyone wants to hear any more information about the wider Leeds-based project, there's some Climate Action Leeds people over here. Say hello to the Jennies. And the Jennies, that's what you are now. They've got a stall downstairs. You can check it out. I should also say hello to all our audience members who are listening in live. All thousands of you. Can you hear them from their bedrooms? And hello, everyone. We're on social media. If you want to tweet in, is there any questions or anything like that, please get in touch with us over the course of the show. Over in this corner, we have the beautiful, the amazing, charismatic, wonderful, all of the good words, Lydia Cattrall. Give some love to Lydia Cattrall. So Lydia is going to be capturing this evening in the form of felt tips and big paper. My favourite way to communicate. Yes. So as you're speaking and joining in for this evening, you'll see Lydia scribbling away. This is how this is going to work. So the purpose of tonight is hopefully to get anyone and everyone in and around Seacroft who's taken climate and environmental issues seriously, whether you're already taking action in some way or whether you're curious and you're not sure how to apply it, to try and get a group of people together to share so that we can all be in the same place at the same time and talk to each other. So please be brave and go up and talk to people that you don't know, ask people's names, put names and dates and diaries into, do you know what I mean? Put meetings in the diaries, because that's the purpose of tonight. And this is also about us making grassroots, community-based climate action that makes sense for Seacroft, because there's no way that we can tackle this massive, epic nightmare of an issue without knowing who's in our community, what resources have we got, how are we going to work together to make everything we're doing stronger. That is my humble aim for today. And I am joined by our amazing steering group and all the members from Climate Action Seacroft. Give us a wave if you're in the room and already doing stuff in Climate Action Seacroft. Hello, hello, hello. You will meet various members of them, so please feel free to go up to them and ask some questions and chat. And then now, because you've turned up tonight, I know I didn't mention this earlier, but you're all members of Climate Action Seacroft. We've got you in, you see. Suckers. So, without further ado, this is going to happen in this sort of 45 minutes-ish. I've got a list of some things that I know are going to happen. Some people that are going to come up and talk to us with some photographs, some poetry. But after each one, I'm going to open up the floor. This is where my roaming mic folk will come in to play. And anyone who's got anything to say related to that issue, please put your hand up. Now, this is quick. Everyone in this room has got a lot to say. Believe me, I've seen your emails. So try and be snappy. This first 45 minutes is about dumping information into the room. This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. This is what I'd like to do more of. End of. Okay, no lectures. Where's Tony? Don't you give me your 5-point plan on different types of soil, okay? None of that. Just, hey, we've got a Seacroft forest garden growing. Who else has got issues or projects or curiosity about trees? Hands up. We hear about those issues. They all get drawn by Lydia. Then we have an interval. We have more delicious food that has been provided by the wonderful new cafe down the road, McHale's. Has everyone checked out the food and met Jackie and her team downstairs? Give them a round of applause. I know that they can hear us and they're listening in the kitchen preparing our desserts. So we'll have some more food. Please break bread with each other and have a chat, and that's your chance to go and ask more questions and chat to people in the interval. Then we'll be coming back, and we will have a look at what Lydia has drawn and have a more general discussion. John, how could you? That is a really good cue, actually. You've just dropped a pen on the floor. I'm going to tell you what we're doing with these little leaves and these little pens. So we're going to hear loads of information throughout the course of this evening. So if there is something that inspires you, you should have a colourful leaf, a yellow or an orange leaf around you, and a pen. Those are something you can jot down, a few words, a question, something someone says that you think, oh, I love that. If you're a person like me and you're like, I must remember to go and chat to that person about how our, I don't know, joint love of profiteroles, that's your time to write love of profiteroles down on a piece of paper. If there's something that is more challenging, a question that you're going, do you know what, I kind of get this, but I can't get over this challenge. What about that? That's what your brown leaves are for. So they're your more negative ones. We'll be collecting all of those in at the interval. You can give them all to Lydia as you leave the room, and then we will use those to prompt our discussion after the interval. But apart from that, I mean, nothing at all, really. That's it. Not much at all. Let me have a look at my handy list. I've described the leaves. I've said be snappy. We've talked about microphones. Yeah, that'll do. All right, everyone, are we going to have a lovely good time? Yeah! No, come on, give me some noise. Are you here to have a lovely good time? Yes! Good. Any climate community forum, we just say those three words in different orders every time, has to start with young people. I know that Chapel FM do amazing work with young people. They've got some absolute superstars. So our first guests to the stage, bring your bobbly noses with you, are young people from Chapel FM. You're going to introduce yourselves? Come on up. Please give them a round of applause. Can you all use that microphone? Great. Johan, are you going to go first? Lovely. So this is Johan, everyone. Do you want me to bring it down?
So I made this manifesto when I was with Leeds Art Gallery Youth Collective. It was on the 29th of January, and it was hosted by sound artist and musician Annika Kampman. So she told us to make a manifesto, basically, about what the chapel, basically. So here's mine. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the ones who think different, the Next Gen Foundation. They're not fond of rules, they can change things. They can change the way we think and do things. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Because no matter what they do, tech, radio, poetry, music or acting, are the ones who will change the world and move things forward.
Hi, I'm Ellie, and I write poetry, and I wrote a poem about what it's like when you wake up and you look out the window and you've got the most beautiful sunrise, ever, and that is the moment when you think, it's not a disaster yet, we can do something about climate change. Yeah. Before the sun rises, there are so many skies, as though painted, drowned and sunk and dragged across galaxies of pale violet, the kind diluted so much by tears and pain and acid it burns. More than my heart does, for this, the poetry, the songs of words dancing, twirling, diving across deep Ocean of forest and land, whispers on wind, news of hope and loss and grief and love. It's like an explosion of colours, red and black and yellow and bright, deafening white. The sky, I watch as it changes every morning before the sun rises.
Hi, I'm Mimi, and I have recently been trying to do poems, something which I had never tried before last week, and this was one of the first ones I wrote. The world is so beautiful all around us. The flowers blooming, the sun shining. The ice caps are burning, and the penguins are going extinct. Fish are getting stuck in plastic, or eating it. Hey, what a beautiful world to live in. The ozone is slowly dying from all the fumes in the air. Hey, what a beautiful world to live in. Boris says that we all need to switch to electric cars by 2025. Well, that's not going to happen, is it? People don't seem to care about the environment. Hey, what a beautiful world to live in.
That was 3 amazing young people, and they had such a fantastic time going up to COP26 and doing some mega protesting, and they've been doing all kinds of work here with young people at Chapel FM based around the environment. So this is the time when, if it is possible to have a few more lights up on the audience, Elliot. So are there any other young people in the room who are also taking climate action, who are also involved in anything in and around? I mean, young people apart from myself, anyone? Can I see some lights? Can I see a hand? Yes, we've got Rosa. Everyone say welcome to Rosa. Hiya, Rosa. What's your name? Where'd you come from?
Hi, I'm Rosa. I'm from Leeds, and I'm in Youth for Climate Leeds, who organise the strikes, the youth strikes. We've been to COP. We do all that kind of stuff with young people across Leeds, and we're looking for more people. So if any young people, which is like most of you, in the audience want to talk to me during the interval, we need as many people as we can get.
That sounds amazing. Thank you. So how can they get in contact with you, Rosa?
We've got an Instagram, Youth for Climate Leeds. It's just that.
Youth at Climate Leeds.
Youth for Climate Leeds.
Youth for Climate Leeds. Number or word? For?
For number.
Great.
But just come and speak to me during the interval. It'll be easier to
Brilliant.
exchange it.
Thank you. Are there any other young people or people working with young people or taking action in that kind of direct protesty sort of a way? There might not be, which is fine. What we got over here? Oh, hiya. Hi, Stephen. Here we have Stephen, who's just putting on his little wind guard.
Is it work? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do I introduce myself?
Yeah. What have you been doing?
So, my name's Stephen. I come to Chapel FM to do tech, radio, music, that kind of thing. And I also went to COP as part of a climate adventure, I guess. Yeah. And it was lots of fun, a great experience.
Amazing. What was your highlight of COP?
Well, when we were at COP, we got to interview a lot of people, so it was really interesting to see what they thought.
Great. And who was your favourite person to interview?
Ooh. There was this theatre director, I think, called Zoe Lafferty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She makes climate productions.
Was Zoe the one who made a big nest monster?
Yeah.
Can you remember that story?
Yeah, I remember. It was, well, she made a Loch Ness Monster puppet, but it got captured by the police. Because it was too big.
Yeah. So that there was a famous, an infamous line of the police having to shout, "Step away from the Loch Ness Monster," as they were about to back off. Thank you so much. All right, lovely stuff. I think it might be time to move on to hear about one of our own projects with Climate Action Seacroft, and this is the Forest Garden, and we have some beautiful photographs. Give us a wave if you've had a visit to the Forest Garden. Yeah, not many. Give us a wave if you're planning to do a visit to the Forest Garden soon. Yes, good. John, you want to sit there, or do you want to come up here? You'll sit here. Okay, can we get a roaming mic to John, please? So this is the lovely John Otley, who's been doing a lot of the muscle work, I have to say, with the with a lot of the digging and the planting and the whatnot. Over to you, John.
Yeah, as you can see, the large picture up there, it was about 6-7 foot in weeds and nettles and everything else. We actually had to force the gate open after the city council tried changing the lock 3 times, and they kept changing the wrong lock. They eventually got the right one. So we ended up coming in and cutting through, working with the Leeds City Council Housing and Maria, working very, very well for us, extremely well. Right? We have also got some funding. We got some funding from the City Councils before the lottery actually put it on to us for doing some work in there. We actually bought, sorry? Oh, I better read this. I've got to read this. Okay, sorry. But I better put my glasses on because I still can't see it, even if I don't put my glasses on, so I'll do it in a minute. Okay. Once upon a time. That's the wrong one. Sorry. Right, so the first forest garden, we got the idea from when we were up at Headingley, up at Bedford Fields. Up there, it's a lovely place to go to. If none of you visited, please go up and have a look. Right, they would like you up there and have a quick look. And you come and see ours when you're finished. Right, what are you doing? But we got the idea up there because originally we were trying for an allotment, but we couldn't. So we ended up looking around, and when we found Bedford Fields, we found it was a lot better. There's 1/4 acre of land up there, and we started planting some, well, this weekend we started planting some trees. There's quite a few people up there through this lovely weather that we had with the rain and cold and everything. But this is when we started cutting it down. It's 1/4 acre. It'd never been touched for 11 years. And we actually broke through and started cutting it down. We started putting paths and such like in through there. We are going to use it, well, actually, the fruit is going to be free. Everything in there is going to be edible, and it will be free for the people of Seacroft. When we eventually get round to it, we'll be open at certain times, and they can come in, and you can come in and sit in there. Somebody would come round and said it would be a lovely place to sit. At the top end, there's a really, really large oak tree, which we plant the trees and everything round there and seats, so we can all come round and have a really good sit down and have hopefully some really good time when we're doing it.
Lovely stuff.
Cheers.
Just go through the slides so that we can see a few more.
There's a few of the people there that we've actually fought through, and there's quite a bit of path that's in there now. It is a bit ongoing as we've cut through. It's still ongoing. We're trying desperately to go through there. We will eventually get there, and we started planning a few weeks ago where we're going to put trees. And downstairs you can actually see the map and everything down there, so you can see all these lovely trees that are going in there. Some of the little trees that we are going to be putting in. There's going to be a lot of fruit trees, a lot of fruit veg going in there, and hopefully everybody will come in and join us. And we'd like a lot more people to come and help us. We really would. There's about 6 or 7 of us that have really worked very hard to keep this going and get it going. And anybody else who would like to come down and give us a hand, we'd love it. Right, we'd love to do that.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
So I think I think we can also let's put that presentation up online later. So again, for our millions of people who are listening at home, you can check out the Climate Action Seacroft Facebook page for the visuals of something looking overgrown and rubbish and unloved, and then something looking amazing and productive, and like loads of people. That was the visuals going on there. Thank you so much, John and Linda and Gaynor and Mark and everyone who's been involved in the forest garden. So, can we open up the floor to anyone who's particularly inspired or has a question for John maybe, or maybe there's some other tree-related work going on? I think I've got a hand that's in the sky.
Yeah, hello, just, bring up.
Don't forget.
Yes,
Don't forget
just where can we visit and when? Very important information.
Excellent question. Where is it, John?
It's actually between... Hang on a minute. Let me put my bubble back on. I'll hold it. That'll do anyway. It's actually between St James's approach and South Parkway. If you're walking down, there's like a ginnel between the pair of them. It comes out... On one side, it comes right out onto the zebra crossing, and the other one comes the other way onto St James's. It's like a little gate in there. There's a little area there. We do put on Facebook when we're actually going to be in there, because at the moment we're still building it. So, you know, if you are
Yeah, so because it's locked, it's open at specific times. But I think if more people were coming along, I think we could start to make it open and more available to people.
What we're asking is that you don't bring animals on there at the moment, because there's still a lot of stuff on there. And if you're going to bring your children, please stick to the path, because there is a lot of brick and a lot of boulders and everything else. So it's still an ongoing progress.
All right. Lovely. Any other comments or tree-related issues or community growing that's not allotmenting? Because I'm coming to that later. Trees, come on. Bishop Young. I know we've got some trees going on over here. Do you want to talk about trees at Bishop Young? Now's a good time. One of the two? Oh, sorry. And over here.
Hello.
Great.
So I'm Christina at the Fernvilles, which isn't too far. I suppose we're Gipton rather than Seacroft. And you'll all have to keep a secret. But a few of us wanted to plant a few more trees, especially on our green verges. We're really lucky to have green verges on the side of our roads. And we've lost a lot of trees through wind and people hitting them with cars and stuff. And the council say no, and I can see why they say no. It's because they don't want any trees falling onto cars or people, I suppose. But anyway, I've been out and I've just been planting trees. So don't tell.
Don't worry, we'll just keep it between me and you. Yeah, we won't mention it to anyone.
On the internet.
Amazing. Then we can go over here. I'll just fill in these blanks where people fiddle around with their muffs on a stick. I should call it that, shouldn't I?
Right, it's almost on.
Yeah, great.
Hi everybody, I'm Anne Russell. I'm the team rector for Seacroft parishes, a group of Anglican parishes from Winmore, Seacroft, Swarcliffe, if you don't know me, and I work with Dominic here. You can spot who we are, obviously, not on radio.
For the audio
not on radio.
visual, they are wearing dog collars.
The clue is in the dog collar.
Around the neck.
We work with another colleague called Neil Obbard, and he works in Bishop Young Academy, and they're going to plant this spring 9,000 trees on some of the land at Bishop Young Academy.
Say that number again.
9,000.
You didn't mishear that. 9,000 trees
So,
are being planted.
they're going to work with different community groups. Neil has a background in the army, so he's bringing some army folk in to work with young people there at Bishop Young as part of their learning and commitment to climate change. Ticks lots of boxes for the school and gives lots of confidence to the kids to actually think that they can change something. But it's quite a lot of trees. I think they might want a bit of help.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to help, yeah, have you? Yeah, and It's doable, though, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
definitely
it
doable,
is, yeah.
absolutely. And I love that idea of getting vets and young people working together and people from the community and volunteers going into schools. And hopefully then we can get vice versa as well. So young people in the schools coming out to the forest garden or down to plant trees elsewhere as well. That's brilliant.
Yeah, really good, really good.
Awesome. Any other tree-related business? Oh. Hiya, Johan.
So I'd like to say that I've seen some stuff on the internet about like team trees or team Cs, and that's just like really good because like other people on the internet are getting involved and encouraging people to do stuff like maybe just get rid of some recycling and some plastics that might actually end up in the ocean, and to maybe plant some like plants and wild flowers, just so there can be a lot more nature, like maybe around where they live.
So would you say that the internet, how do you use the internet to access information about environmental and climate issues?
Usually I just see it like maybe scrolling on TikTok and I see like someone mentioning that like some big YouTubers doing like team trees and they're like trying to raise money for it.
Okay, so we need to meet some big YouTubers. Any in the room? No, okay, I'll keep my eyes and ears out. Thanks, Johan. Ellie, did you have something to chip in?
It's not really about me doing anything about trees, but it's just a memory I had from when I was in Stone Primary School. I remember I think about year 6, we were planting trees as a year group and in the field, and I didn't realise the importance of it then and how much it would stay with me. But now, actually thinking about it, it was a really big point because I tend to walk past that road a lot, and I've seen them grow, and hearing all this, it just brings it back because it shows to you we need more trees. Come on, everyone, let's go plant some trees.
All right, lovely. Thank you, Ellie. That is fantastic. And on that note, we are going to move on to our next. I'm really sorry, guys, but this one's me talking some more. But this is, unfortunately, one of our steering group members is very poorly and so couldn't be with us. Shout out to Clary if you're listening. And she was integral in this project that I want to talk about next, which is the Killingbeck Community Allotment. That I've done you a Google Maps because I knew someone would ask where it was. So you can see there, if you've got your back to Asda and you're looking at York Road and then you go on the other side of York Road towards Primrose Valley Park, tucked around behind some houses, is this beautiful allotment. So there's individual plots that are owned by different people, but then the end plot was once beloved by various community groups, but had been unloved for a number of years. And then someone got in contact with us and said, did you know this existed? I don't think it's being used. And so over the summer, Clary, Gaynor, myself, Linda, John, all of us took to this quite magical site and started getting it back on its feet. Do you want to just flick through at a flick through? So this is what it looked like at the beginning. It's got this amazing polytunnel, this huge willow that was growing over it. So we've managed to cut that back. And next. Yes, you can see here. Oh, it's also got a loo. It's got a compost loo. I mean, really, really important. Any allotmenters in the room will know the importance of easy access to a loo. And it doesn't even smell. And so this, after a little bit of hard work and some action days, and Richard played a big part in it. Where's Richard, who greeted us at our front door, and Tony came down as well, and that's my dog Obi. And this is what it started to look like. We started clearing it. Next. So there's some people looking happy and being joyful in this magical space. And this is also the first place where we started, you may have seen, our seed libraries, which was Clary and Mark's They created them with their bare hands. And there's one here in the chapel. There's a seed library in Kentmere, and there's a seed library in the library. Meta. And this was our first ever one. So the idea being that there are seeds and seedlings and plants and books, and anyone who's got just any kind of curiosity or interest can take something, take it home and grow it. So please go downstairs and help yourselves. Gaynor, I know, has got a seed exchange going on downstairs. So if anyone's like got half and then want to swap it, it's like you get shinies in a playground where you go, if someone's got loads of sunflower seeds, do they then get to mix it with like, oh, that's worth like 4 cabbage patches or something? Have you got that kind of, no, okay, just me. Yeah, so we started growing some stuff in the community garden. Next. So essentially we got it to a really beautiful place where we could really enjoy it. And there's a pizza oven. I know, right? Seacroft and Killingbeck, did you know you had your very own pizza oven that's a mosaic and in the shape of a turtle? I mean, what? So we got it into a beautiful place where we could start making pizzas, and along with LS14 Trust over the summer, we got some young people down there to make our own pizzas and start planting. So going forward, I know that Clary is planning to do Wednesday mornings and Saturday, like one Saturday a month, where she's there and anyone is welcome to come down and just have a cup of tea and enjoy that beautiful space. And you don't have to know anything about growing, but really the idea behind this is an easy way to get people to start appreciating or connecting with nature and seeing that if that can grow into a passion for climate and environmental issues, as long as growing loads of food. So, with that in mind, does anyone else have any allotmenting, growing food related stories or comments or questions? Yeah. Elliot. Yes, please. Up there at the top, Elliot, for the people at home, Elliot is our very brilliant tech person.
Hi there. Yes, just a quick question, well, not even a question for me, just to say that Chapel FM also has its own allotment. Me and the fantastic volunteer Jake Baldwinson has been working on that, and we've got it to a state now where it's ready to start growing stuff again. And so if anyone's interested in being volunteers as part of that, that is, we're starting in March, so feel free to drop us an email. That'll be elliot@headstogether.org, or just contact the chapel and send them to me, and we'll talk about getting you involved doing some stuff in the allotment. Again, all the hard work's done now, so all the tearing back and building and stuff, so it's all the fun stuff you get to do now.
Brilliant, thank you, Elliot. And now might be a good time to bring in Sammy and Chris. If we're talking about food and growing food and people having access to healthy food, we know that the climate crisis is bringing food poverty as a massive issue in Seacroft, and we are absolutely aware of how we can start getting food available to people is a really big issue in this community.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Natalie. So we've opened a new community food pantry over at LS14 Trust. I can't say the exact way that people subscribe, but Sammy, just quickly explain to us what people get and how much it is.
It's £3.50 per week, and it's approximately 14 items, some tinned goods, some fresh fruit and veg, and some things that are past their, not their use by date, but they're perfectly safe to eat, but it's just about getting the education out about the best before date.
So, probably lots of opportunities for growing coming into the pantry, and working collectively and together on that. We're talking the other day about energy prices going through the roof. That's something we can't necessarily stop, but we can support people more with food and access to food. So, yeah, anybody wants to talk about that, come and have a chat with us.
Yeah, lovely, thank you. And yes, in the back here, anonymous gentleman. This is our right honourable friend, Richard Bergen, MP.
Hi.
Hiya, thanks for coming.
My pleasure. I just wanted to say two things really very quickly. Firstly, on the issue of food poverty, congratulations on what you're doing. In Parliament, I've been supporting one of my friends who is from Liverpool, of all places.
All right.
I detected the accent. Ian Byrne, who's one of the members of Parliament in Liverpool, has been running a campaign across the country because he was very involved before he became a member of Parliament in football fans' food banks where they collect food outside the matches and distribute it to people in the community. And he's been running a campaign for a statutory right to food because it's perverse, we think, that in the fifth richest country in the world, there are people in our country and in our community who can't afford to eat, and people are having to choose between heating and eating. So congratulations on what you're doing on that, and check out the campaign from Ian Byrne if you can. But secondly, and very quickly, I just wanted to say thank you for everything you're doing. It's really inspiring. I've come up to Leeds back home this morning from a pretty rotten week in Parliament in a lot of ways, and to hear all this inspiring, positive stuff is fantastic. I raise climate issues whenever I can down in Parliament. I work with national groups like Green New Deal Rising, but to see people in our area making a practical difference on these important issues is really inspiring and really enthusing. And I'll make this promise now. I'm so inspired, I'll actually, under John's direction, use a spade at some point. How's that? Something I haven't done since I was a kid. So that's my promise.
We'll hold you to that. Lovely. Has anyone else got any food growing related, and a food bank in St. Richard's? We could give that a shout out, yeah.
Sorry for my voice again. We run, in the churches, we run the food bank at St. Richard's Church, and we love the Pantry because it's just across the way, and we'd love to support you, and we've just started, we do hot meals, free hot meals, which is now on Thursdays, but we could really do with some vegetables and some fresh vegetables and herbs, and I wondered if anybody would like to talk to me about how we can work with you and perhaps pinch a carrot or two, or whether we can promise to make our own herb garden or something, because that could be really cool. And to work with these guys from LS14 is always a privilege and joy, and get a really good vibe going up around that area, if you fancy it.
Hi, I'm here from the LS14 Trust with two young people with me who will not speak, but I'll speak for them. And we've said that we would love to see the outside of St. Richard's Church, and LS14 Trust is a big garden where people could pick their own herbs, grow vegetables, and sit and eat together, go to the food pantry, learn to cook at Kentmere Community Centre, and make that space a really community-focused space.
Amazing, thank you. And we are, as Climate Action Seacroft, are looking for another more Seacroft-focused community growing space, and we're in conversation with various different churches and different sites to try and build a community allotment from scratch. I think there's definitely something in finding ways that we could be more direct or start getting gardeners and people who know about growing vegetables connected to people who cook and want to harvest that, connected to people who need food, and not on a large scale. This is micro. So certainly on my list of things to do is actually starting to ask questions about how can a small scale gardener grow food that's of worth for someone to really eat and be full. You know, how can we start thinking about that? There might be some people in Climate Action Seacroft who actually know the answer to that, and they're like, oh God, here she goes again. Cool. Any other shout outs for food or growing? Okay, then finally, I was going to move to, actually we're kind of touching upon it, so I was going to turn to Katie Dye at this point. Do you want to touch upon the fuel crisis and energy? And then I was going to give a shout out to our energy folk, who are housing insulation people and the DEC. Anyway, we'll work it out.
Hello.
Hiya.
I'm Katie Dye. I'm one of the local councillors for Bergen and Seacroft. And
I just wanted to say that we are 100% behind all of the work of Climate Action Seacroft. In fact, I am on the steering group of Climate Action Seacroft. And I think there's an absolute link between fuel and between climate action. And we're all part, you've heard from lots of organisations, of a big kind of group of people working to make Seacroft a better place in so many ways. So the kind of We Are Seacroft brand is using all the expertise of all the organisations and people that you've already heard from, and addressing issues of food poverty, of fuel poverty. And it is something that is clearly going to be a priority for us over the next few months with the rise in fuel prices. So I just wanted to make you aware that we will be looking at ways to support people on a practical level, and that might be through food, and it might be through support with accessing support with fuel bills and things like that. But I also wanted to make you aware that we're driving, as councillors in Seacroft, work around decarbonisation. So it's something that's absolutely top of our list, and there are a whole stack of projects, for example, putting ground source heat pumps in some of our flats, decarbonising buildings such as council buildings across the ward. And we've also got some really exciting projects actually working on individual houses to look at making them more fuel efficient. So the only other thing I really wanted to say was that we do have small pots of money as councillors. So if you've got any projects that could do with a little injection of money, will you get in touch with us? Because it's this kind of thing that's going on here today that we want to support, and we'd be really happy to put our money really in the kind of climate pot.
How can people get in touch with you, Katie?
So, we're easy to find. We're Killingbeck and Seacroft councillors. We've got a Facebook page, we've got a website. Just search for us on social media and you'll find us.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And let's go here. Do you want to go to Chris? Chris down here.
Yeah, just to mention, as part of the We Are Seacroft Collective, a little bit later in the year, sort of March or April time, we're going to start doing some community climate training, and that we believe that if we get everybody involved in that, people from the third sector, residents, we've got local councillors, we've got people from housing, so as the wider community, there's an opportunity to come together and do some training. I'm going to pass over to Adam from Leeds Development Education Centre, who can tell you a little bit more about it.
Thanks, Chris. So we're a small charity. We've been working with some amazing people from Leeds University Earth Sciences Department, some of whom advise the United Nations on climate change. And they've produced a whole lot of little short videos to help people make sense of climate change, which is, as we all know, a big and very complex and scary issue, and help us put together some training, which we've run for over 200 people so far, which helps people think about the choices that they can make in their own lives about what they can do about decarbonisation. And we're working on the idea of putting together a carbon calculator. So it's not just all sort of doom and gloom. There's practical things we know we can do, but what difference do they make? And what difference does it make if I do something and the next door neighbour does something and a few people do something in our area? If you scale that up across Seacroft, across Leeds, that actually could make quite a big difference and be quite hopeful. And we've got lots of fun, interactive games and activities to go along with this course for young people and residents in Seacroft over the next few months.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Adam, we are quickly storming towards our interval, and so I can think of no better way than inviting Ellie back up and giving us one final poem. But I am going to give you a reminder about your leaves. Don't forget your little task that I gave you, children. So you are writing down something inspirational, some words that are stuck in your head, or a question or a challenge. Write them down on your leaves. Don't worry about what colour it is. Don't worry. Make sure everyone's written something down by the time Ellie finishes her poem, and then you can go off and get some more scran, unless there's anyone else who's burning to say anything else. We will come back after. Oh, go on, Joe. Of course you can. No pressure or anything, but if this has got to be worth it, Joe. It's all right. Just shout.
Right, so I'm Jo and I work for the LS14 Trust, and I've been there since sort of day one. And way back in the day, we did some research into looking to maybe put a wind turbine in Seacroft because it's so windy around there. So there's the idea has always been there for us as an organisation, and I think that it's something that we should really push on. So I'm asking for help from anybody within our sort of community that might be able to help us, funding or anything like that, to make sort of like wind turbine for Seacroft. So it's not just for organisations, it's for actually everybody that lives in Seacroft. That's my wish.
Just power us all.
Yeah.
Spiritually, emotionally, physically. Amazing. I love that. Fantastic. Yes, please. And without further ado, we've got Ellie here to give us one final poem before it's interval time.
Another poem from me. This one's a little bit more. We've gone from, before the sun rises to now we're in the storm that is climate change. We seek to see the sun, even a glimpse of rich golden haze, it blinds us. For a second, we seem to forget how we came to be this far from where our birds sing songs of hope dipped in honey, and rivers of glass don't seem to burn with the blood of revenge. We seek to be above the clouds, a blanket, trapping us in thick, cloudy mist. It holds us. We forget that we aren't in a land of fairy tales and dragons where the ivy clings to castles of ice and the mountains scream songs of anger and of death. We seek even for a moment to know that our planet isn't burning, our trees don't crumble into ash, that it isn't real. The catastrophe and hurt and grief and white-hot pain isn't there. We seek to see the sun, even if we don't look back.
Beautiful. That's interval time. Give all your leaves to Lydia, who will be standing by the door. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you very much, everyone. to that jingle than I was expecting. Welcome back to the Climate Action Seacroft Community Forum, Part 2. Oh, thank you all. We have a much depleted audience because half of them are downstairs, and I know they can hear me, so don't pretend like you can't hear me, but I'm just taking that as an excellent sign that people have been so inspired by everyone's stories and everyone's comments so far that they've got to crack on with taking climate action downstairs right now. They couldn't even wait to the second half to happen. They're just downstairs doing it. So I'm taking it as a good sign. But for the really super cool, hardcore lot that are still in the Chapel FM right now, thank you so much for being here. So this part, I thought we could do some summing up, try and make some connections between some of the things that have been said, and ask really important question, what next? So before we move on, is there anything that people thought about over the break that they were like, I should have mentioned this, and I didn't get to say that, and they are burning to say it right now? Johan.
I've just wanted to say that if you didn't hear the Red Kite, the last interview that I was doing, Phil and Lucy that I was interviewing for Think Global Act Local, on one of their shows they mentioned that school uniforms contribute to at least 10% of carbon emissions, I think, and that instead of like just getting rid of it, they should at least do a uniform exchange. So and also it's a lot cheaper as well, instead of like spending a load of money just on like a shirt or a blazer.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Johan, because school uniforms was one of the things that was on my list that I wanted to raise. And Sammy, who was here earlier, who runs the LS14 Pantry, was talking to me yesterday and talking about how they have tried to do uniform exchanges with certain schools, and some have been really successful, and there's certain challenges around what time of year you do it at. Obviously, you can't exchange a uniform if someone is wearing the uniform at school, so timing is kind of tricky. Does anyone have any experience of school uniform swaps or clothes swaps more broadly? I think, can we have is there a hand there? Is that Natalie? Yes. Good name, Natalie.
Thanks, Christina.
Thank you. There's some stragglers coming in. Don't worry, I won't draw attention to you. It's the vicar. Come on. Honestly. Go on, Nat.
So I went through a few years of organising barter markets. So we'd pick a community venue somewhere like this, and everyone would bring items they no longer needed, and we'd swap and exchange them. So people would have little tickets when they came in, but there was no cash ever exchanged. We'd normally run it around a cafe, and they were a lot of fun.
Amazing.
So I totally recommend that.
Fantastic. And was that with school uniform or just clothes at general?
Everything, including school uniform.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. Has anyone else done any schools exchange or uniforms exchange and experience of clothes? I love the idea of bringing, there's certainly Clary, again, shout out to Clary, who's part of Climate Action Seacroft, and her husband Mark are fantastic crafts people. They're really good at stitching and sewing and making stuff. And for ages, I've been wanting to get better at that. And so we've been talking about how can we do a skills exchange where I can bring my broken jeans and all the stuff that I've got that's got holes in, and they could teach me how to give it a new life and to upcycle it. And I'm sure there's probably something that I can do in return. I haven't thought about what that is yet, but let's try and make that happen. Anything else that people were burning to mention? Lovely. One over here.
Hello, I'm
Hiya.
Lucy, who Johan interviewed earlier, and we were talking about the school uniform exchange, and that's organised by Zero Waste Leeds, who are brilliant, and you can find them on social media, and they do loads of other things, as well as school uniform exchange. And the latest one they're doing is sports kit exchange. They've set up a Facebook group that people who have sports kit that they've grown out of but are still perfectly good to swap with other people. So I would recommend going on their Facebook site and looking for sports kit, because
that's
it's
just
really
reminded me.
expensive and it's much more sustainable to use somebody else's.
Absolutely, thank you. So Zero Waste Leeds, was it them who organised, John, you might know about this, one of the primary schools, they were inviting parents to bring all their empty bottles, and they had a glass recycling bank, that's the word, at the school. So all the parents had to take their clinky bags to the, but they didn't have to look embarrassed because they were recycling glass, and then in return they got a school uniform? No, they got book vouchers. That was it. So the school got book vouchers in return for recycling glass. So that really encouraged people to come along, and I'm sure something similar could be done with school uniforms as well. Awesome, thank you so much. Is there a womble in the room? Get a fluffy thing. Give us a wave if you're a womble in the room. Give us a cheer because it's radio. Yes, hello wombles. Seacroft wombles. What a story. Here's the man to tell it.
Very briefly.
Yes, please.
So there's some quotation or other, isn't there, about a small group of determined individuals is the only thing that really changes the world. And I think we've heard loads of things about that already tonight, whether it's school uniforms, sport, allotments, forest gardens, all that kind of stuff. And the Wombles did that as well. There's about 50 people now who keep Seacroft spotlessly clean, and they're really proud of what they do, and rightly so. It's fantastic. But when we were talking about trees earlier as well, I thought it reminded me of the run of our lovely beck, our river, from Easterley Road to, all the way through the area, and how in early 2020 we pulled so much rubbish and fly tipping out of this beautiful river, and how, you know, this world is not just for human beings to dump all our stuff on. We need to respect all this nature and work with it. The beck is now completely sparkling clean. We've seen a duck, and we're hoping it's going to bring its friends. So last year, one final point, last year, 2021, we took at least 2,500 bags of rubbish out of Seacroft, litter.
Say
rubbish.
that number again.
2,500 bags of rubbish.
One more time for the people at the back.
It's 10 tons of litter.
10 tons of litter.
10 tons of litter. So we're working on changing the culture for that section of people who just throw everything on the floor, and they don't even realise really what's wrong with it. Yeah. So that's a cultural thing that needs to happen. But
amazing.
Small groups really have the power, and we've shown it, and we'll carry on showing it.
Absolutely. Hands together for the Wombles! So, the Wombles are this amazing network of individuals who go out and pick up litter, if you didn't know. And at that point, I wanted to talk about this beautiful map that we've got of Seacroft and Killingbeck, if I could ask it to be brought forward. So again, for the audio listener, we've got a great big map of Killingbeck and Seacroft, and the outline's in the shape of an Alsatian, so I like it. And we've asked everyone in the interval and before the show to start marking where is the climate action happening already, and we've got some lovely green leaves to represent that. And then also, where would you like to see more climate action, or what do you want to see more of? So we've got Katie and Rosa who are holding it up for us. And would you like to come forward and talk us through it?
Okay, thank you. So the green you've heard a lot of, because the Wombles are on there, the Forest Gardens on there, the Killingbeck allotment, Chapel FM allotment, and the trees, David Young, we added at the interval. But if there's anything that people have talked about today that we haven't got on, then maybe you'd like to come and stick a leaf on it before you go. Or if there's anything that hasn't been mentioned that's happening in terms of climate activity, then please, again, come and stick a leaf on it so that we've got a really good picture of what's happening.
Yeah, I
Did
think
you want to talk about...
Southeast is looking a little bit naked. I think we could be doing more around Southeast, Seacroft and Killingbeck. And up at the top ear of the Alsatian, what's up there? Londis. Come on, Londis, what are you doing? That's super.
Did you want to talk about some of the yellows, Rosa? What people have asked for?
So it's a lot of the stuff that people have mentioned, but it's more availability for bikes and more recycling, obviously loads more trees, all that kind of obvious stuff. But if you've got anything specific, feel free to do all the obscure and obvious bits.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you. And then finally, we wanted to come across and have a look at this incredible tapestry that's been made. Tapestry, mural, masterpiece, other such words made by Lydia. And Lydia's also collected some of your leaves. So I was going to throw over, if we can get a mic to Lydia, to do a little summary. And then as Lydia is summarising, what I'm going to ask next, so you can think about it, what connections are you starting to see? And what hasn't been touched upon? What are you going to do next? What are we going to do next, Seacroft? So my questions are up over there. What excites you? What inspires you? What are the connections? And what we're going to do next? So that, and then it's home time. So, over to Lydia.
No pressure, but everyone wants to go home. The beautiful, beautiful ending line to one of those poems right before, at the end of the first half. Where is it? Where is it? We seek to see the sun, to see hope dipped in honey. There's been so much talk of hope tonight, so much talk of hope. And so many of the leaves that we got back after the interval were about the fact that there's a real sense of, yes, change has got to happen. And yes, it's going to feel tricky at times because we don't want to lose everything that we need to lose. But actually that it's really possible with who and what is in the room. And it's been amazing to read through that and feel the kind of generosity and sincerity of that message, actually, that people really, really believe that Seacroft already has not only physical infrastructure, but the kind of attitudes that we need to have to really lean into a different way of living together. There's loads and loads of mention here of individual projects, but what's been amazing is that everyone's talked about how those things can connect and how the growers can work with the people who need to eat and that can work with the people who like to cook, who can work with the people who like to dry the foods into seeds, to then swap the seeds, to grow the seed. There's an ecology emerging here and there's an economy emerging here. And nobody has talked about themselves in isolation, either on this map or on their leaves. There's lots of love for individual green spaces, like outside the LS14 Trust and the church and the shared gardens and the prospect of that. Having an urban farm would be an amazing thing. Growing food for the food bank would be an amazing thing. Let's connect our growers, cookers and eaters. I love that. I think it's a t-shirt. Johan, your manifesto got loads of love on the leaves. Just thought you'd like to know. But people's passion and enthusiasm is so inspiring. Let's be the agents of change. How can we influence people in power together? We should aim to live simple lives so that others can simply live. I think that probably puts it in a nutshell.
Lovely. And so finally, we're coming back for our final closing comments. What are the connections that you can see? What next? Yes, Jenny over here. Let's get a mic. This is Jenny from Climate Action Leeds.
Hiya. I've been honestly blown away by the energy in this room today and the inspiration and all the ideas. And just talking about connections, so this is part of the Climate Action Leeds project, which is a Leeds-wide project. And we have, so Climate Action Seacroft is one of 8 community hubs based in different geographical areas in Leeds, all doing things that are appropriate for their community, led by their people. We've also got 7 kind of thematic areas, so things like food, energy, housing, work and economy. So this is where we can I've heard a lot of people talking about joining up, connecting, being stronger together than we are apart. And I think this is where we can make the real difference. The city scale joins up all those different neighbourhoods. So if you see your your mission as part of something bigger and you want to connect to something bigger, check out Climate Action Leeds. If you're doing something about food here and you think this has got a bigger impact, or I want to connect with somebody who's doing something different about food across the city, you can connect under that umbrella. So it's just to say you're part of a wider movement, see yourselves as part of that wider movement. Every 6 months we have an event where we try to get different parts of this big family together. It's been a bit it hasn't really happened very well so far because of COVID, obviously. But the next one of these is in April. On the 28th of April, we're having a big launch of the Leeds donut, which I won't talk about now, but it's another, not to do with food, but to do with economics.
Circular economy.
Yes. So it's how you bring people and planet together into one kind of framework. So that's really interesting stuff. But otherwise, it's just, if you want to come to that event and show people what amazing stuff you're doing in Seacroft, then it's an open invitation. Equally, if you're feeling a bit crap about everything, come and get inspiration from other people who are doing stuff as well. So just come, be part of that family. You're amazing, and thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you for being here. So just before you give your microphone up, I really appreciate that we need to make connections between all the different neighbourhoods and stuff. But broadly speaking, are we the best? Would you say, Jenny, on record? Just making sure this is going out live.
Comment.
Yeah, but she's smiling. She's smiling. She's got a glint in her eye that says, yeah, you are. Yeah, we're the best. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And we will absolutely be shouting about those wider city events on our social media. Any other connections or inspirations or things that people want to bring up or put to contention, actually? I think because it's the first one and, we're all enthusiastic, so it's easy to be super positive, but where are the challenges? That's okay to bring up a challenge. Go on, Tony Tree.
Education.
Education.
That's very important.
Absolutely.
Agitation, because you've got to get up and go and do it.
Yes.
And action.
Yeah.
That's all I've got to say about that.
Oh, amazing. I think, the second point, I can see John and Linda here nodding on the agitation. You've got to get up and do it. There's a lot of people who love what we do, but getting them to turn out on a rainy Sunday morning to dig a tree is hard work. Or getting you to actually, whatever it is to change what's a nice idea into physical action is a big challenge, and you've all smashed it tonight because you've already been here. Yes, to the person with the best name in the whole room, Natalie.
Yeah, just one thing I've got from tonight is cross-fertilisation. So obviously I've come here from Hare Hills too because I want to bring the climate action thing back to Hare Hills and have it higher on our agenda. But I was getting a vision when we were looking at the orchard. People in Hare Hills struggle to get people to turn up to help do the digging. People up here do. Can we join forces? Can we have a bigger day where we all come and support each other?
Yeah, good idea. Good idea. And where's my lovely student who I was chatting to earlier? Sorry to pick on you, but I'm not that sorry. Hello. Can you just tell everyone your name and what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jessica Hughes, and I'm doing a degree on innovation and skills for social change at Leeds University.
Amazing. And do you live in Seacroft?
Yeah, I do.
Fantastic. That means everyone in this room is about to apply all of your skills and all of your knowledge. Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here, and Mum as well. Coming along. Awesome. Anyone else? Yes, Johan.
Cause I've just realised that one of my friends, I think 2 weeks ago, he's tried to like tell the head teacher that there's actually quite a lot of litter around the school, especially like the quads, like around the outside where we like have break, and he's like tried to like tell the head teachers to say that there's a lot of litter and that maybe the school should do something about it.
Maybe they should, Johan. Maybe they should. Absolutely. I love that. Speaking truth to power. Thank you, Johan. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been an absolutely fantastic audience, and I think it is time to go home. Finally, give yourselves a massive round of applause. Thank you to Chapel FM for being wonderful hosts. Thank you to Michael's for providing such amazing food. Did you have a delicious dinner downstairs? Oh my goodness. Now remember, the point of tonight was to bring you all together so that you can connect with each other. So please don't feel like you need to dash off out this space. Talk to each other, swap email addresses, do whatever you do with your dib-dabs and your WhatsApps. And I'll see you next time. Thank you and good night.